That's more like it. Please keep your applause going as we welcome the director of Cry India West, Kriyan Rabadi.
Okay. You know, there's a girl called Kavita. She lives in this ginormous slum on the outskirts of Delhi. It's called Shabad Dairy, and it has this dubious distinction of having the maximum violations against children in this country. So Kavita lives there with her 4 siblings, with her father who's a casual laborer, and her mom who's a domestic worker. So Cry has been working there for a number of years, trying to empower girls, and we use sport as a tool for development. And so Kavita plays cricket, and Kavita plays cricket really, really well. So Michael Clark came to the project organized by Cry, and they had some net practice. On the very second ball, Kavita clean bowls Michael Clark. Yeah? So Kavita and her band of girls, she's the captain of the cricket team. And she's led this cricket team to many, many tournament wins. These girls are close, really close. They have each other's back. They support each other on the field, in school, in the community. And they stood really strong against any gender barrier that has been imposed on them. So one more person comes to visit. Who? Virat Kohli comes to visit the project. Yep. And they have this interaction with Kavita and the girls, yeah? And what do you think Kavita asked? What do you think an aspiring cricketer would ask Virat Kohli? So she doesn't ask him or say, I'm your greatest fan. How did you win this tournament? That's not what Kavita asks. The one question Kavita asks Virat Kohli is, from one captain to another, how do you motivate the team to stay, really, really happy and play well despite wins and losses? That's what Kavita asks. So, I love this story. I love Kavita. It kind of underlines everything Cry stands for and everything Cry worked towards. That it is a girl thing to have immense potential. So the girl in the most notorious slum around Delhi, who every time she has to play, she has to pick up bottles, broken bottles from the field, she bowled Michael Clark. That girls need to have role models that they could look up to and not be intimidated by. Yeah? And that girls can have massive dreams and that they can support each other and be supported in turn. Good evening and welcome to It's a Girl Thing. I am so delighted to be able to be here with some incredible women and some really courageous girls from our project, with all you students from St. Xavier's and other colleges. We have loved partnering with St. Xavier's for this, the Extracurricular Committee, Social Service League, and the Student Council. Thank you for carrying this event with us. I studied at St. Xavier's many moons ago in this absolutely beautiful building. Yes? And the one thing that hasn't changed for me is the fire, the commitment, the energy of the Xavier students. So whatever you guys are putting in the water here, I hope it stays. So our panel discussion today is called It's a Girl Thing. And we hope you will enjoy hearing from our panelists and from our girls how they have lived the true meaning of It's a Girl Thing in their lives. And how having role models, sisterhood, big dreams, and opportunities have gotten them where they are today and will take them where they want to be. So folks, it's a girl thing.
Lovely. Now without any further ado, let's jump straight into our panel discussion, and now we'll begin to introduce our panelists. Our students described her as the macaroon queen. Featured on Forbes 30 Under 30 list, both in India and Asia, our next panelist has won acclaim from critics, press, and her loyal customers. In 2022, she was given the Best Pastry Chef Award by Culinary Culture and named the Best Patisserie Chef of the Year by Travel and Leisure India and South Asia. Presenting the founder of Le 15 brand and the place with my favorite Belgian chocolate cupcakes. Give it up for Pooja Dhingra, everyone!
When we were tasked to write the introduction for our next panelist, we tried really hard, but reading this will sound like I'm reading someone's resume because of how impressive this is. She is a Harvard Business School graduate and the co-founder of the massively successful Good Glam Group. She's the founder of Baby Chakra, which is
India's most trusted parenting platform.
Alaya had that memorized.
Yes, she did.
She is also an alumnus of National Law School, Bangalore. I mean, I can keep going on and on, really. Please welcome on stage the supremely talented and inspirational Naya Sagi.
On our panel today, we also have our very own Little Miss Chatterbox, Mayuri from Jeevandhara. At 13 years old, she is already leading the Children's Parliament in her neighborhood and has managed to bring about substantial changes in issues related to child rights. Can we have a huge round of applause for her?
Actor, dancer, influencer, winner of the prestigious Dada Saheb Phalke Award, Sandeepa Dhar is a true entertainer. She's won award after award. Hold your applause, there's more. She's won award after award for her dancing. She loves to travel, enjoys new cuisines, and gathers new experiences. We're hoping to hear about some of those experiences today on the panel. She's also an ex-Xavierite. Please give it up for Sandeepa Dhar.
Our next panelist is Halima. She has fought against odds to complete her education and to fulfill her ambitions. Today, she is pursuing her studies in advertisement and has grown to become a mentor to several children in her neighborhood. We're so proud to have you here with us today. Can we have a huge round of applause?
Up next, we have the Mumbai ki Rani herself. We have with us today Miss Malishka. She is a very well-known radio personality, actor, TV show host, anchor, and thought leader. Her energy is contagious. She had told me a rather funny joke that maybe when she comes on stage, she'd like to do again. But until then, please welcome Miss Malishka, who's been facilitated for her talent time and time again. Her movie, Parde Mein Rehne Do, can now be streamed on Amazon Mini TV. We are beyond elated to have another ex-Xavierite with us today. Please welcome on stage, Ms. Malishka.
Hi. All right, once again, a very, very warm welcome to all of you. Before we get into some heavier subject matter, we'd like to know all of our panelists a little bit more. Just like all of you break barriers in your various fields, let's start by breaking some ice on stage today. Woo!
All right, so the first question, we'll start from you, Pooja, and we'll go alongside. What is one thing you picked up when you were young that has stayed with you ever since and that has sort of been a key element to your success?
Hi everyone. I'm not from Xavier's. I was in Jai Hind. She said that would be a problem. Will it be a problem? See, they still like me. I got sugar. I think for me, it's always been about don't let. Being a young girl, you were always told what you can or cannot do. I think for me, it was always about don't let your gender define what you can or cannot do.
ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है जो आपने बचपन में सीखी थी जो आज भी आपके साथ है और आपको हर जगह मदद करती है?
मेरा कॉन्फिडेंट।
मुझे बचपन से बोला गया था कि इंडिपेंडेंट बनो, अगर तुम लड़की भी हो तो वही बचपन से अभी तक मेरे साथ है।
First of all, let me tell you, you've given me the mic. It's not going to be easy to take it away. Hi, everybody. Good evening. First of all, I just want to tell you that my toes are doing ting, 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 ting over here because I've been in this quad after so long. I'm a Xavier, right, like she told you. And this has been a great part of my journey of growing up. I was just telling somebody, shy people do not exist anymore. आजकल किसी को शर्म आती नहीं है, which is a great thing. मतलब हम सब बहुत खुले हुए हैं, we're in front of cameras, we're constantly meeting people. It's a dying institution, shyness, and it's a good thing. पर मैं यहाँ पर जब होती थी, when I entered this college, I was much more shy. पहला साल मैंने यहाँ पर बिल्कुल कुछ न करते हुए गुजारा. Then the next year I went into like hyperdrive and I participated in everything. So if you ask me, मेरे बचपन में ऐसा क्या था जिसने मुझे यहाँ पर ले आया? Then it's a very strange answer, but मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि climbing trees did it. Let me explain. मुझे लगता है कि ज़मीन से जुड़े रहना बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ है. And when I was a kid, I used to play out in the mud, climb trees. It used to be part of my Insta bio as well, tree climber. I'm serious. So I feel like जब आप ज़मीन से जुड़े हुए होते हो ना, when you're rooted, when you're playing with people, when you're getting to know people, when you get to know people at a root level and yourself at a root level, it really immensely helps you as you grow up. Even if you're shy to begin with, you know how to open up. And I hope we will talk a little more about it in just a bit. But the moral of that story is please climb trees. बहुत ज़रूरी है. Seriously, climb trees. I do it even now. No, it's not. People keep. It's really. तुम मेरे साथ चलो संदीपा, हम पेड़ चढ़ेंगे. पेड़ चढ़ना ज़रूरी है. मेरा नया नारा. There will be an Insta picture soon of Sandeepa and me on a tree. Do you want to see this picture or no at some point? Say yes if you. Sandeepa, crowd मांगती है.
Make sure you tag Cry and ECC.
Yes, please.
टूट गया. Do you need this mic?
Hi everyone, it's so amazing to be back here. Not so long ago, I was roaming in the first quad, but my favorite place was back where the canteen is. I think that's where I hung out the most. I hope everyone's having a decent time for now because we're just going to keep talking and talking and I hope we don't bore everybody. But yeah, sorry, what was your question?
The question was, what is one thing that you picked up in your childhood that has stayed with you and that still is a key part of your thought process and that still affects your success?
So when I was young, actually till now, I'm still young. I played a lot of sports. I grew up playing a lot of sports. So I think there were a million things that it taught me. It taught me discipline. It taught me time management, it taught me balance, teamwork, how to interact with people, how to deal with people. I think that foundation and grounding is something that's helped me throughout life. And it's something that I, in fact, keep telling people, no matter where you come from, always pick up a sport. It teaches you how to win, how to lose, how to be a good sport, very, very important. How to not think that losing is bad, because I think losing is one of the best things that can happen to you because failure teaches you the most lessons. So yeah, I think playing sports is something that's really channeled the kind of person that I am today.
So first of all, amazing to be here. I'm looking across all the smiling faces and the not so smiley ones. So please smile, I'm watching you. But it's really fun to be back in a college atmosphere. I walked in and I just felt this wave of energy come towards me. And I wish my team was here because they would have loved interacting with all of you. So the one thing I think I grew up sort of really imbibing, and I think it's really helped me in good stead, and I tell my team this all the time, is always play to your strengths. You know, in India, growing up, you're always told to be in this cookie cutter mold, right? Ki ye karo, engineering karo, ye. But what is your strength? You know, the earlier you identified what makes you unique, what gives you this, this confidence, this power to like stand out, right? And the more you just work towards that, I think that is just a superpower that we completely underestimate. And you know, the interesting thing is my career also, you know, while of course he's talked about my resume, has gone through so many twists and turns. You know, I was a terrible student in my high school. I think I almost failed my math ISC exam. And if someone hears this and says, dude, but you went to Harvard for your MBA, chamkega nahi, like kuch galat hai, right? Is story mein. My mother still doesn't believe it. Okay, so all I want to say is that, you know, just play to your strengths, you know, and I think just linked to that, lead a life of impact. We are here on the earth, frankly, only once. I don't really believe in rebirth and all the other stuff. So if you're here, like, give back big time. Yeah.
Thank you for that. These were such inspiring answers. And now we'll move on to another question. So if all of you could change one thing for girls, अगर आप लड़कियों के लिए एक चीज़ बदल पाओगे, तो वो क्या होगी?
You want to start that side? Naya, do you want to go first this time?
So, I think, so what I'm really passionate about is seeing more and more women in tech and more women entrepreneurs. I think it's something that's just something I'm just very passionate about. So what would I change? I'd love to see more and more women, role models who are entrepreneurs, super successful, come to the mainstream, you know, in mainstream media, mainstream conversations, dinner table conversations. सब Shark Tank के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, right? But if you still look at the gender representation, वहाँ पर भी काफ़ी चीज़ें solve करने को है, right? So dinner table conversations पर अगर, you know, we're talking about women entrepreneurs who lead large successful businesses, would be, I think, game-changing for the entire country.
I think a change that I want to see is more basic. I think the sense of fear with which women live in our country is something that I hope changes. Till today, I'm not allowed to go out very late at night alone because it's not safe out there. I really hope that really changes. We keep talking about equality in every household, and we keep talking about how, you know, now girls are no lesser than boys. Yet in most households, the boys allowed to go out in the night, and the girls told that it's not okay. Please be back around 11, 12 in the night. I really hope that changes, and that'll only change when everyone takes onus of their own behavior, their own morality. I also feel that all of this kind of begins with the mother, the lady of the house. What you teach your sons and your daughters is what is going to pass on over and over. So if everyone just takes care of all the boys and girls in the house and teaches them correctly, I think that's the way to go ahead. So yeah. Safety and security for women is something that I hope changes.
I think a lot of girls in the audience related to this, especially the part where you said that, you know, girls have curfews, you have to come back home at a certain time. So I think a lot of the girls in our audience definitely related to that.
What would I like to, what would I like to change for girls? So borrowing a little bit from what Sandeepa said, but I want girls to have a voice and actually believe in it. मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि because of all the teachings that we've had, हमको जो, you know, even this घर पे जल्दी आओ, तुम लड़की हो, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता, वैसे नहीं हो सकता, हम बहुत दब के रहती हैं. I have actively tried to change that in my life because हम सब भी वैसे थे. I told you, मैं बहुत shy सी हुआ करती थी. I was talkative, but I was shy. But to learn to believe in yourself कि नहीं मैं ये कर सकती हूँ या फिर ये मैंने किया, I can take this to the end, and you know, I can do what it takes, and nobody else has to tell me. ये नया शब्द, नया तो नहीं है, but gaslighting is a शब्द I think everyone is very familiar with. हमें बहुत किया जाता है कि नहीं तुम सही नहीं हो, ऐसे नहीं करते, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसे. I've heard it so much कि, you know, that your thought process, even though it's uniquely your own and even though you believe in it, somebody or the other is telling you कि ये सही नहीं है. You know, it can be done better, or you can. And I have to tell you, in the workforce, I love boys and women, I must say, but in the radio industry, which I am primarily from, I cannot tell you what a great job women are doing. Generally also, but what a great job. Anytime I want to entrust something, it's like, okay, even if I have to send them somewhere far away to do an interview, say, at a late hour, or say, later, go to St. Xavier's and speak to students, whatever it is, women just put in some amazing effort, some amazing life skill. It's beautiful the way they work, but the credit seems to not come to them very often. So I want you to go out into the world whenever you do and claim it with pride. When you do something, claim it with pride. Don't let other people tell you you didn't do it or it could have been done better. Really, it's easy to say believe in yourself, but there's a process. Or wo process, as you live, you will get to learn it. But remember that you are innately confident, you are innately someone who knows what you're doing. Don't let the world tell you any differently so that you change your path. That's about it.
That was lovely. Thank you.
माइन और कि ड्रेस कोड जो है स्कूल्स में या कॉलेजेस में वो गर्ल्स के कंफर्ट लेवल के हिसाब से होने चाहिए. लाइक सपोज अगर मैं अपने रियाज में देखूँ तो बहुत सारी लड़कियां हैं जिनको लेगिंग्स में कंफर्टेबल होता है, शॉर्ट्स में नहीं होता है, बट स्कूल फोर्स देम टू वेयर ओनली वन पीस. तो उनको ऐसा होता है कि वो घर से तो निकलती है वैसे, लेकिन वो बस स्टॉप पे उनको चेंज करना होता है. तो ऐसी चीज़ें हैं कि गर्ल्स को कंफर्ट लेवल के लिए उनके हिसाब से ड्रेस कोड एजुकेशन सिस्टम में होना चाहिए.
ये बहुत अच्छी बात कही है आपने.
I can see all of the people in the audience going, yes. Get the dress.
So मैं ये चेंजेस करूँगी. मतलब मुझे पावर मिली तो मैं देश के हर कोने कोने में सीसीटीवी कैमरास लगाऊंगी, जिसकी वजह से गर्ल्स पे जो अत्याचार होता है वो ना हो.
Yes.
So thank you.
बहुत अच्छी बात है.
How do I follow up all of those answers? I think if I look back at my journey and if I could change one thing and I wish someone had taught me and told me about, would definitely be financial knowledge and independence. I think when you start a business, and I started my patisserie when I was 22 years old, and I wanted to be creative and design and branding and all of that, but I didn't really take the financial aspect of it till I was, I had my back against a wall and I had to learn it. So yeah, let's start early. That's what I would do.
Okay, this is a relatively quick one. One word answer. ठीक है? What is one superpower you'd like to have? ऐसी कौन सी सुपर पावर है जो आपको चाहिए?
Teleportation. I want to be everywhere fast like this.
मुझे पंख चाहिए जो मैं लगा के पूरी इंडिया देख सकूं.
मैं चाहती हूँ कि मैं एनिमल्स की लैंग्वेज समझ सकूँ.
Nice, yeah. You took teleportation, no? No, I'll do it with you. We'll figure two superpowers between us. I would like to take a superpower where I could go back to the past and change stuff. That's a good one, no?
A superpower that I would want, I don't know if this is counted as a superpower or not, but I feel like everyone is going through so much in their lives and they all have things that we don't know about. And a lot of times, even between friends, I feel like, sometimes you're going, like you have you want to share something with someone because you've had a bad day or something like that, but the other person is not probably paying attention and you have a fight with the person, but we don't realize the other person also might be going through a lot of things. I wish I had a superpower to know those things in the sense that, things that people don't share with other people. We tend to keep a lot of things hidden. We don't want to share because we are shy or we think people are going to judge us for it. So I wish I had that superpower to know what's going on with you, what's bothering you, what you're not sharing. So I can, we can talk about it, and because that's the only way to deal with stuff, right? Like talk about it, have someone hear you out, give you another perspective. Maybe it's not even something they should be scared of or be judged for or anything of that sort. So yeah, I think that's the superpower. Read minds maybe. Yeah.
Sandeepa, be careful what you wish for.
I think if you could read minds, you'd take our job of being a moderator.
Just very simple request. Why can't there be 10 of me? You know, because like there's so much, I just like there's so much to be done on a daily basis, work-wise, family-wise, your own sort of what gives you inspiration-wise, what gives you happiness-wise. I wish there were 10 of me and you know like रात को बस सब 10 जुड़कर अच्छे से सो जाए. But दिन में 10 मेरे हो and then I can just like
Naya's winning our rapid fire round. That's such a good one. I want that. I want that.
Yeah, I think you'd also mentioned in one of your interviews that whatever you're doing today, you thought that it could have been done yesterday. And when I heard that, I was like, yes. Yes, this is it. So that's a power that I think all of us could have. We'd all study for all of our exams together simultaneously.
Absolutely. All right, so that brings us to the end of our first segment. So now we can jump head on into the panel discussion. So, Malishka, we have a question for you. So, you have a very, very strong voice, especially on issues. Yes! Can we hear it from Malishka's voice, everyone? So, especially on issues that speak to the heart of the people, right? And we've seen you deal with trolling and negative comments. In fact, I remember watching you on an episode of Troll Police. And all throughout that episode, you were so strong, you held your ground the entire time. And things like this are bound to get very scary and very overwhelming, especially in the generation that we live in. So how do you manage to stay strong and keep your head held high the entire time?
Sometimes even I wonder. Like right now I'm sitting here and I'm shaking in my high heel shoes. Can you tell?
Absolutely not.
I was like, oh my God, I have to go and talk to people, I have to talk to people. And then I remind myself, अरे ये तो तू रोज करती है पागल. मैं भूल जाती हूँ रोज कि मैं क्या करती हूँ. Do I get scared when I do these things? Ironically, I've been called brave very often. I want to say the word is foolhardy sometimes. This is me just putting myself down. It's really not true. I'll tell you where it comes from. This mic is echoing so much I can hear my voice. Shouldn't I try another mic? Check, check. Oh, this is so much nicer. Can you all hear me though? Thank you. That was distracting me majorly. Okay. So, I think I derive most of that power from the people for whom I've always believed I talk. So, I try to center myself as much as possible. There is this thing that I believe in that when I speak on the radio or when I speak to you today.
You're playing Passing the Parcel here.
Yes.
This is also just, okay.
Is this the final parcel?
Yeah.
This is it.
Anyway, I'm good with mic work. I know how to do this. Oh my God, you have to sing it. If you look. Yeah, I'll tell you that story later. Anyway, guys, so they were asking serious questions. Don't make me laugh. What was the question?
The question was that we've seen you deal with a lot of these negative comments, right? And you have your head held high the whole time.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
So it's not like I don't get scared. Sometimes it is really, really, really scary. But this happens in the aftermath. Let me give you an example. I don't know how many of you know this, but I guess because you know most of them. 2017 में मैंने एक गाना बनाया था. आप लोगों ने सुना था? Mumbai. Huh? How many of you here heard it? Let's see how much general knowledge is happening in this place. खाली पीली हाथ मत ऊपर को, I'll make you sing it. And someone from the BMC will be walking around like there in the back. Okay, for those of you who didn't see it, it was a song about potholes. It was a song about what the city goes through. It was a song that made me stay on the news for about 3 to 5 weeks. उतना attention span किसी का होता ही नहीं है आजकल. मैं अमेरिका में थी, मैं अमेरिका जाके वापस आई, तभी भी न्यूज़ पे चल रहा है, सब डिबेट कर रहे हैं, कैसे पर बोल दिया इसने, खड्डों के बारे में कैसे, मैंने कहा अरे गधों गिर रहे हो उसमें. So there were twos and yeah, there were people who were on my side mostly. Then of course there were people in the government that did not enjoy it. It was a time of intense trolling, and it was a time that there was trolling from the power side, right? It's not just normal, some bacha sitting behind who's too scared to show his face. This is power. So of course I shrunk a little bit, but what again helped was because I knew what I was saying and what I was doing is not wrong. There is a space I feel within when you sit down and you introspect, you're like कि ये जो तूने किया ना भाई साहब, ये बहुत गड़बड़ वाली चीज़ होती है, और ये आजकल के ज़माने में बहुत होता है. Are we okay in Hindi? Are we good with Hindi?
Absolutely.
Okay. तो ये आजकल के ज़माने में बहुत होता है कि कुछ बोल दिया, cancel हो गए. In some cases, of course, completely right, but a lot of things that happen, I think innately you know that this, ये इसमें मैंने गड़बड़ कर दी, इसके लिए sorry बोलना चाहिए. But when you know that you have spoken in Janhit mein jari, जब इंसान आपके साथ है, when what you're doing has come from research, has come from a place of do-gooderness, it has come from listening to the woes of the people, which is what I do mostly, तब डर नहीं रहता, because the people will always stand with you. डर तब होता है जब आप कुछ गलत करते हो, फिर आपके साथ लोग नहीं रहते. डर is for, I reserve it for that. And frankly, because I do this job every morning, and like you said, the times we are in, I should be scared every morning. Because you never know, it's a live medium, कोई आपको script देता नहीं है, when what might offend. But offend is very different from, what you're talking about. Like, I can legit tell you that any kind of trolling for any kind of human takes them to a dark place. It is not good. Even if you're in college, even if it's not a good place to be in. You'll sit down and you'll cry and you'll go through this. But the only thing that will take you through it is mostly your tribe, people who will stand by you and say, hey, it's cool, we're with you. And mostly the knowledge that there will be a tomorrow and you did the right thing while you were doing it. So that's what, takes me through whatever I do every day, because otherwise I can sit on fear. Before opening my mouth, I can sit on fear every day. But the fact that your subconscious says you will get through this, and the people.
That's amazing. I think this fearlessness that we see, this passion, this drive, it's so inspiring to all of us over here. That's
Thanks. The next time I get trolled, I'm going to ask you to, move your minions.
I will.
Tweet for me.
The next time there's a troll, there'll be a Instagram story from Cry India and ECC.SXV.
And all these people who lifted their phones to take your pictures.
To take our photos. Please remember, guys. All right. Moving on to the next question. This is for you. You had mentioned before that the biggest mistake you'd made earlier on was not believing in yourself. And not believing in yourself or ourselves is something that I think all of us, whether we are children in school, whether we are children in school, whether we are not so children in college like most of us, or whether we're working, that's something all of us struggle with. And now that you have a unicorn in a really competitive startup world, and it seems like you've done it all, what is your sort of jadoo, what is your jugaad for believing in yourself all the time?
I'll tell you a very quick story, very short story. जब मैं college में थी, I didn't go to this amazing college. I went to another nice college. My undergrad was at National Law School, Bangalore. And NLSE, it's a very 50-50 men, women in the college campus, and very egalitarian law school था यार. I mean, सब लोग rights के बारे में बात करते हैं, equality के बारे में बात करते हैं, equity के बारे में बात करते हैं, मतलब काफ़ी advanced conversations होती थी. And I said, this is the amazing place. I said, I want to stand for student body president. And I put in my candidature, I said, मैं president बनूंगी of the student body. And I'm talking about 2005. तब वो Nokia 3310 वाले phones होते थे, जिस पे snake खेल सकते थे ना, वो जो बटन वाले blue छोटे वाले 3,000 रुपए के थे, काफ़ी महंगे थे. 1 week before the campaign was to start, right? When you come up on stage and you give your speech, there was another boy who was standing against me, actually a good friend. But uske friends and बहुत लोग college से, they sent me a lot of very nasty messages actually on SMS, and there was notes slipped under my hostel door. Ki, a girl, you're presentable. Why don't you stand for vice president? I was like, but मुझे president बनना है यार. That's what I want to be. And I've done a lot of work, and I've been whatever my class rep, and जो भी करना था वो कर दिया, right? Done my debates, done whatever. And it took me to a very dark place. I remember that for me, forget everything else. भी तो unicorn company, public listing hopefully 2-3 साल में होगी, वो सब है. That for me was my lowest moment. Because when you are in a very, how would I put it, very contained atmosphere where your peers' opinions of you matter the most. And your peers, who you have very deep friendships with, are telling you कि मत करो या क्यों कर रहे हो, vice president बन जाओ ना, तुम्हारी capability इतनी है. That is the darkest place I've been to, and I think what gave me strength at that point in time was I said, ये मेरा belief है, ये मेरी ambition है, ये मेरी dream है, मैं कर दिखाऊंगी, चाहे दुनिया मेरे साथ हो या ना हो. And I did it, yaar. I did whatever I could. I talked to whoever I could. It's not a very political process, but baat karni log. Tell people please show up and vote. And people showed up and they voted, and I won by I think 15, 16 votes, but I won. So yeah, and just to cut a long story short, uske baad bhi the next 3, 4, 6 months weren't easy. Please remember, the student body would sit like this. I'd be like, there wasn't a stage; it was a bit of a heighted platform, right? And I'd talk, and there would be a bunch of people in the very back rows going boo. ये सब हुआ है मेरे साथ, ठीक है? And once you face this, and once you come out of this, right, the toughest moments are what form you and make you who you are. So that for me, I think, is what gives me strength. I look back at that memory, I'm like, ये कर सकती हूँ तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ life में.
That story has really hit me in ways I don't think I can imagine, because we are at a stage where all of us are going through so much, and it feels like, I'm sure it felt like then that was the end. That where do you go from here? But you really can go ahead, and that's truly wonderful.
And another thing
Thank
that
you
you
so
said,
much.
that चाहे लोग तुम्हारे साथ हो या ना हो, I think that really hits a lot of us, because a lot of the times we have to face resistance in a lot more ways than one, from not just friends but family and society and things like that. So the fact that you said that you're alone and you can do it, it's incredibly inspiring.
But can I just add one more last point?
Absolutely.
You know what gives me the greatest happiness? So tab tak I think law school had about 20, 25 years of being in existence, right? So I was the 3rd woman president in the history. After I became president, we've had 5 more women presidents. So what I think for me gives me the most happiness is that then it became acceptable for women to stand and become president.
That's amazing. So you've broken barriers in more ways than one, in a lot of different avenues. That's incredible. So Mayuri, आप 13 साल के हो, right? और आपने 13 साल में आपने इतना सब कुछ किया है, आप इतने लोगों के लिए आप एक इंस्पिरेशन हो, आपने इतने लोगों के लिए इतना कुछ किया है, तो मुझे आपसे जानना है कि आपकी जो जर्नी रही है, आपका जो सफ़र रहा है, वो कैसे रहा है आपके लिए?
मैं तो पहले चिल्ड्रंस पार्लियामेंट मैंने ज्वाइन किया जब मैं 5th में थी, और जब मैंने चिल्ड्रंस पार्लियामेंट ज्वाइन किया, चिल्ड्रंस पार्लियामेंट मतलब जहाँ पे हम बच्चे मिलते हैं और कम्युनिटी में क्या प्रॉब्लम है वो हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं, हमारे राइट्स, आर्टिकल्स, ये सब के बारे में हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं. जब मैंने पार्लियामेंट ज्वाइन किया तब मुझे लगता था कि मैंने क्यों ज्वाइन किया, इतना बोर होता है, अगर किसी ने मुझसे कुछ क्वेश्चन किया तो मैं क्या आंसर दूंगी वो क्वेश्चन का, अगर गलत रहा तो मैं क्या करूँगी. लेकिन धीरे धीरे मेरे अंदर चेंजेस हुए, मतलब मुझे बात करना अच्छा लगने लगा, कुछ एक्टिविटीज़ भी होती थी ना तो मैं एक्टिविटीज़ मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता था, मुझे वो उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करना ही अच्छा नहीं लगता था. लेकिन धीरे धीरे मेरे में चेंजेस हुए, मुझे एक्टिविटी में पार्टिसिपेट करना अच्छा लगने लगा, वापस मैं बोलने भी लगी और मुझे आदत हो गई कि मैं बोलूँ. और अब मुझे मतलब तब हमने हमारे कम्युनिटी में जो प्रॉब्लम है उसके ऊपर हम लोग ने डिस्कस किया कि हमारे कम्युनिटी में कचरे का प्रॉब्लम है, गटर का प्रॉब्लम है और रोड का प्रॉब्लम है, तो ये सारे प्रॉब्लम्स का सल्यूशन क्या है और हम लोग को मदद कौन करेगा ये सारे प्रॉब्लम का सल्यूशन निकालने के लिए. हम लोग ने ये सब डिस्कस किया और फिर हम लोग ने मतलब सोचा कि ये सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हम कॉर्पोरेटर के पास लेके जाएंगे और उनको ये सारे प्रॉब्लम्स बताएंगे, वो ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर देंगे. हम लोग कॉर्पोरेटर के पास गए थे तो उनको बताया कि हमारी जो कम्युनिटी है उधर प्रॉपर रोड नहीं है, गटर भी मतलब सारी खुली गटर है, सारे गंदी बास आती है और एरिया में सारी तरफ कचरा फैला है, कचरा कुंडी भी नहीं है जहाँ पे एरिया के लोग जाके कचरा डाल सके. हम लोग ने नगर सेवक के साथ ये डिस्कस किया और फिर कुछ दिनों बाद नगर सेवक ने ये सारे चेंजेस किए, जैसे रोड ठीक किया, वापस कचरे का मैंने कहा तो कचरा कुंडी भी वहाँ पे बहुत सारी एक्स्ट्रा कचरा कुंडी रखी, वापस गटर का जो प्रॉब्लम था उन्होंने गटर पैक किया और फिर वहाँ पे जाली लगाई है. ये सब हुआ, फिर मुझे लगा कि मैंने ये सब किया, इतने सारे चेंजेस एरिया में किए, मुझे एकदम खुद को ये अच्छा लगने लगा कि मैंने इतने सारे चेंजेस किए तो मुझे अब डर क्यों लग रहा है, अब मैं बोल सकती हूँ. अब मुझे लगता है कि मैं बोलूँ, कोई मुझसे क्वेश्चन करे और मैं उसका जल्दी से जल्दी आंसर दूँ. थैंक यू.
आपने इतना इतना अच्छा जवाब दिया है, इतनी छोटी उम्र में आपने इतनी सारी जीत हासिल किए हैं। हम सबको यहाँ पे आप पे इतना गर्व है, इतना गर्व है। जो आप कर रहे हो प्लीज़ करते रहिए और आप समाज में बहुत सारे बदलाव ला पाएंगी, जो आप ऑलरेडी कर रही हैं। थैंक यू।
हलीमा, मैंने आपके जर्नी के बारे में भी थोड़ा बहुत कुछ सुना है क्राई के वॉलंटियर्स से, और जो मैंने सुना है वो इतना इंस्पिरेशनल रहा है कि मेरा, अब मैं क्या बताऊं, थोड़ा सा आप क्या और हमें बता सकते हैं आपकी जर्नी के बारे में, आपने क्या क्या किया है, आप यहाँ पे कैसे पहुँचे हैं?
फर्स्ट तो मैं अपनी कम्युनिटी में रहती ज़रूर हूँ, लेकिन मुझे लोग ज़्यादा पसंद नहीं थे, क्योंकि जो मेरा बिहेवियर है और उनका इन्वायरमेंट है बहुत डिफरेंट है। मैं बहुत ज़्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट हूँ और वो बहुत ज़्यादा क्लोज माइंड वाले हैं। तो जब मैं छोटी थी 10 साल की, तो ऐसे जाते जाते रास्ते में से कोई भी टच करके जाता था या फिर कुछ, तो मैंने उनके साथ खेलना बंद कर दिया। वो लोग मुझे सिखाते थे कि ये चीज़ें कैसे करते हैं, आप मुझे सिखाते हैं करके, और मुझे खेलने के बहाने से लेके जाते थे और वो लोग ऐसा घर बंद कर देते थे और मुझे बताया करते थे कि देखो ये ऐसा ऐसा होता है। मैं भाग जाती थी। तो उसके बाद से मैं घर में ज़्यादा रहना पसंद करती थी। अब मैं जानती भी नहीं थी कि कौन लोग हैं या क्या है। फिर मैं स्टडीज़ तो अच्छे से गई, 12th भी अच्छे से गया, माइनॉरिटी में मिल गया सेक्शन। आफ्टर लॉकडाउन थोड़ा सा ऐसे हुआ कि फाइनेंशियली क्राइसिस आए ये सब। फिर मैंने ट्यूशन्स लेना स्टार्ट कर दी कि एटलीस्ट मेरे लिए और मेरे पेरेंट्स के लिए थोड़ा बहुत तो पैसा आएगा। ट्यूशन्स के बाद में मैं हलवा ज्वाइन किया, जहाँ पर मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली कि मैं क्राई के साथ एक प्रोजेक्ट करूँ कि मैं बच्चों को कुछ सिखा सकती हूँ। तो मैं ट्यूशन्स लेती थी, और अगर आप बच्चों को ऐसे एक सेशन के तौर पे कुछ सिखाते हो तो वो बोर हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज वो 1 घंटे का या 2 घंटे का होता है। लेकिन अगर आप बच्चों को ऐसे पढ़ाते हुए कुछ बात बता दोगे, देखो हमारे साथ ऐसा हुआ है, आपके साथ नहीं होना चाहिए, तो आप ये लोगों से दूर रहो। उनको बताते थे कि बैड टच क्या होता है, गुड टच क्या होता है, स्टडीज़ के बारे में बताते थे। अब उसके बाद होते होते फिर मैंने एक प्रोजेक्ट तो हो गया, फिर नेक्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट में मैं अभी हूँ जहाँ पर मैं लाइब्रेरी में रहती हूँ। तो लाइब्रेरी में बच्चे आते हैं, वहाँ पर भी उनको मैं बताती हूँ कि कौन सी चीज़ सही है, कौन सी चीज़ गलत है। जैसे मेरे कोई मेंटोर नहीं था या फिर मेरे से कोई बड़ा नहीं था जिसको गाइड करा जाए कि स्टडीज़ में आपको ये सिलेक्ट करना है या ये सिलेक्ट करना है। तो बच्चे आते हैं मुझसे पूछते हैं कि मैं आर्ट्स लूँ, कॉमर्स लूँ या साइंस लूँ, और आगे कौन कौन सी डिग्रीज़ है, कौन कौन से सेक्शंस है, तो मैं उनमें हेल्प करती हूँ। थैंक यू।
हम सबसे पूछते हैं कि आपके रोल मॉडल कौन है, और हमने सोचा था कि हम आप लोग सबसे भी पूछेंगे आपके रोल मॉडल कौन है, बट यहाँ पे कितने सारे लोग, कितने सारे आपके फ्रेंड्स, उनके लिए आप एक रोल मॉडल हो, और आज से पूरे जेवियर्स के लिए आप एक रोल मॉडल हो।
थैंक यू सो मच।
आपकी जो कहानी है, जो सुन के जो एक शब्द मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है ना, वो शब्द है हिम्मत। क्योंकि आप में इतनी हिम्मत है, आप में इतनी ताकत है कि आपने ज़िंदगी की मुश्किलों से आप लड़कर जो आप यहाँ पर बैठे हो, बहुत बहुत बड़ी बात है, बहुत बड़ी बात है। और हम सबको जैसे हमें बहुत बहुत गर्व है आप पर।
थैंक यू सो मच।
Sandeepa, our next question is for you. So you have made a name for yourself in the Bollywood industry. And there exists this notion in the industry that you have to know someone to get somewhere. But you've managed to make a name for yourself without having that kind of backing. And a name that is so famous. I mean, most of us know you as someone from Hero Panti, and we absolutely adore the work that you've done. So you're an actor, you're a dancer, you're an influencer. So how do you manage to have it all? How did you manage to make that name for yourself?
I think in all of this, the most important thing for me was self-belief. And, you know, I've realized in this industry, more often than not, there are more people telling you what you can't do. You can't do this, you look a certain way, so you can't fit into these characters. You come from a certain background, so you can't do this, and you have to behave a certain way, you have to do certain things. Everyone feels like everyone's journey needs to be like someone who's been popular already. So I think at the end of the day, it's been very, very important to know, have that belief that I can do it. I have the talent, and sooner or later it will happen. It might not happen right now because it's not meant to happen right now because you're not ready for it to happen right now. So it'll happen eventually, and when it'll happen, that'll be the best time for it to have happened. So yeah, so self-belief and the fact that don't listen to, you actually, that's a very nice thing that my dad had told me, that suno sabki karo khud ki. Like, you hear everyone's opinion, but at the end of the day, you take a decision on what you want to do. And I've always had that with my parents, because a lot of times, you discuss with your parents, what do you think, what should I do? They give me their opinion, but they always say this, that we're giving you an opinion, but make a decision on this by yourself, because at the end of the day, you need to be responsible for the choices that you make in life. Tomorrow, I don't want to say, yaar, I did this, Mom, Papa, you had told me, but it didn't work out. You don't want to blame anybody else for things that might not happen according to what you think should have happened at that point in time. So yeah, and I think in the world that we live in right now, any which ways, there is so much happening around us. There is, and there's social media, there is people that you speak with. There'll always be friends who are probably doing better than you, who you think have achieved more. Like, I always had this notion at 20, I should have achieved this. At 25, I should have achieved this. At 30, we all make these, landmarks for ourselves, age-wise. You might not understand this right now while you're still in college, but don't restrict yourselves by putting these, things for yourself, that by 20 I should have achieved this, by 25 I should have achieved this. Like, live every moment. I think we keep thinking about aage kya hoga, that we forget to enjoy the present that we have. And that's very, very important. And I think that's what I've been doing. I've just been living. I also feel I'm very, very lucky that I'm getting to do what I want to do. Because I know a lot of people out there don't get to do that. So I'm very grateful. I'm privileged, very privileged, that I can live the life that I do live. So very important to enjoy what you're doing. Once you've made a decision, own it. Acha gaya, bura gaya, doesn't matter, own it. It happened because it was supposed to teach you a lesson. And that's how you grow as an individual. So yeah, I think that's how I've taken it. I've taken each day as it comes. I've enjoyed what I'm doing. And I believe that this journey is meant for something. And I'll get to wherever I need to eventually. I also don't know where I have to get to eventually, but yeah, it's just that I just want to stay happy with whatever that I do. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think that is something that all of us, and me as well, I will take back home, which is when you said that suno sabki karo khud ki. I think that's a very, very powerful line. So thank you so much for that lovely advice.
Really? Okay. Panelist specific आखिरी सवाल आपके लिए. I feel like Amitabh Bachchan. All right. So a lot of us here today, हम आपको जानते हैं as the owner of Le 15. But उससे भी ज़्यादा, so many of us know you as Pooja Dhingra. As Pooja Dhingra in and of itself. We know you as Pooja Dhingra the chef, Pooja Dhingra the strong personality, Pooja Dhingra the chef. तो आपने ये self brand, ये self value कैसे develop किया? More independent of Le 15, how did you make sure that everyone knew what a force to reckon with you were?
Thank you. How many of you guys know what a macaroon is? Okay, this is so good, amazing. For those of you who don't, I have some later. I'll give
But you know what? We know what a macaroon is because of you.
That's so. That is so true. That is so true.
So yeah.
Thank you. I get this question a lot, and I think the only real honest answer to this is, I have no idea. I've always believed, and I feel we all have this internal navigation system. We have a gut. I've always tried to follow some kind of purpose. So everyone would say that running a business is so easy, and it's a cakewalk, and it's a piece of cake. And I said, that's not true. So let me start a podcast, and I actually started a podcast called No Sugar Coat, where I spoke to different entrepreneurs from, and that got me so much attention because of my personal sort of brand, but that wasn't the intention. I didn't set out to do that. I set out to answer a question, solve a problem, tell a story. So many of these things just kind of happened because I listened to myself. I kind of saw problems around me and I tried to address them. So I would like to be very intelligent and be here. This was my strategy and this is what I did. But honestly, I just kind of kept my ear to the ground and close to my heart and kind of just heard things and came up with different strategies based on where I was feeling like my purpose and intent was going.
You know, you mentioned that everyone thinks starting a business is easy, but it's not. And I've heard stories from my mother, who's also a business owner, about how when she has to go out and, speak to different vendors or get different done, especially from Orthodox women, or Orthodox men, I'm so sorry. It gets very difficult and it often comes back to my father. Right, they want to contact him and not my mother. And I have seen that time and time again. And I wonder if you had similar experience, because you have a very unique experience in that world.
Oh my God, so much. The thing is that I started so young, so I didn't know if it was a gender issue or if it was an age issue. So I kind of like always thought it was age, but then, I always had people saying कि आपका husband कहाँ है, आपके, पिताजी कहाँ हैं, check कौन sign करेगा, and I used to just be like, what's going on? And there's actually one funny incident that happened with me in my kitchen when I was 22, 23. I just come back and somebody came in, they said, I want to meet the manager. So we were a team of 3, and my team called me out and I said, yeah, hi, how can I help you? And they said, nahi. They looked at me and said, nahi, owner kahan hai? I said, manager, owner, sab main hi hu. And like literally he had like a look of, like he looked at me shocked and he said, "Kyun? Aapke husband off ho gaye?" And I was 23 and I was so shocked. I was like, I just didn't know how to reply. But yeah, like that, a fact that a young girl is setting a business up could only mean that, in his head. And I think that's the notion that we are all working towards changing.
Wow. That's some food for thought. आपने सोचने के लिए हमको बहुत दे दिया है.
So thank you for that amazing discussion. I just have to say that it feels very empowering to be on the stage with all of you lovely people. And now we have our audience Q&A. If we could please get the glass bowl with the chits that's been doing the rounds.
Before we go to the question answer session, we have a blast from the past. We have one more rapid fire question for you. But this one comes with a limit. You get one word.
That's it. One word.
That's all.
I don't like that you're looking at me while saying this.
That was just subconscious.
That's it. It's over for you, my friend. Bring it.
So, सिर्फ एक word में, okay, सिर्फ एक word में, how would you describe yourself? We'll start with you, Pooja. सिर्फ एक word में, how would you describe yourself?
Determined.
Determined. Wow. Friendly.
Proud.
Irrepressible.
Wow. Let's go.
Happy.
Lovely.
Crazy.
Crazy. Here's to the crazy ones.
Yes, here's to the crazy ones.
All right.
Can we have our audience questions, please?
Do you want to?
That's such a large bowl with so many questions. We're going to stay here.
It's been filtered down. आप एक question pick कर लो.
Oh, anybody,
कोई भी.
any question.
Yeah. It could be for anyone. And then I'll give it to Alaya and she'll read it out. Okay. Can we have a... Okay, while we read, okay, everyone do a drum roll.
You guys awake?
Okay. मुझे अच्छे से पढ़कर डॉक्टर बनना है. and she wants to become a doctor. And what advice would you have for someone who wants to become a doctor who's come from a background that's not as privileged? Anyone?
I'd feel presumptuous giving advice to someone who already has such an amazing ambition.
Right.
आप बनिए, आपको कौन रोक सकता है? I think that's the only advice I'd give.
What would you give advice to her when her family or her society says, no, you should work, you should... What do you think she could say to her family or to society when she wants to stand her ground?
Again, I can't, I mean, I don't want, I mean, you know, the background that we've all come from is so different because my mother was a working woman.
Right.
So my mother was like, I have to build something professionally for myself, right? It was always a given. So I don't know what background or what challenges this particular individual may be facing, but I think बस एक बात सोच कर चलिए कि you know ये ज़िंदगी, I'm telling you again and again, I mean I don't believe in rebirth. It's one life, it's your life, whoever you are, right? You have a beautiful ambition, you have a very very noble profession you have chosen for yourself. आप please डटे रहिए. Hold your ground, be brave. There are many others like you who have gone down this path and made their dreams happen. So don't waver from your course regardless of what anyone tells you. And reach out to some of us separately. I mean, you know, we're all available here iske baad. If you just want to have a one-on-one chat, we're all available to talk. That's all I can say. I don't have any personal advice.
So our next question is that if there was something you could share with your college-going self, then what would that be? If there was one piece of advice, something you'd like to say to them, what would you say? Anyone?
I feel for me in at least in school, I never had the good grades. I was always, you know, an average student. And I feel in college as well. It's only when, so I went to law school for 2 weeks. And then I decided that I wanted to study hospitality, so I shifted. And I think for me, actually seeing when you are, like, you know, when they say don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, I think when you actually find what you're really good at, that's when you really shine. So I would go and tell my younger self when I was about 16 or 17 to just, you know, find what you're really good at and find your passion. I think once that happens, everything kind of falls into place.
All right. The next question we've gotten is, what's your one biggest source of strength? आपके लिए कौन सी ऐसी चीज़ है जो आपको सबसे ज़्यादा स्ट्रेंथ, सबसे ज़्यादा सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस देती है?
I suddenly wish I had taken the first two.
The
Because
audience,
my first answer was going to be Instagram, and I said, no, you can't say that.
the audience is really coming through with the hard questions.
What is it that gives me strength to wake up, you said?
Yeah, or in general to go out when you have a bad day.
Oh yeah, it's every day, I'm telling you. No, it's not like that. I'll tell you, as you grow up, what happens. Now, whatever it is you're doing right now, and I see that you all are doing a lot in college in St. Xavier's, बहुत कुछ कर रहे होते हो. आप जैसे जैसे बड़े हो गए ना, वो काम into 10 हो जाएंगे. Correct me if I'm wrong. But no, she wants 10 of herself. Can you imagine? College में कभी सोचा था ऐसे? नहीं, एक president बनना था. वो मतलब ज़्यादा होते ही जाएगा. You have to find tremendous strength within yourself. अब उसके अंदर, you know, when I say these things also, it sounds to me like, what is this within yourself? But it is. As you live, you will learn. You will find ways to cope. You will have to figure out how you don't wake up in the morning and pick up Instagram first. Or you will have to figure out better ways of self-care, which is not doing your nails and, you know, getting your facials done. That is not the thing. You will find that you probably need to calm down more and figure that life will take its course. You will figure so many things that in college look completely insurmountable, look very, very difficult to you. And very, very often you will go back and fall back on yourself and say it's okay. You will feel tired, you will feel lonely, you will feel like I'm going through this path alone. Whatever path it is you choose, I promise you this will happen to you. तुम्हारे साथ 100 colleagues हो, you know, you probably feel it even right now, right? In some cases. So the only thing to do is two things. One is, of course, depend on yourself greatly, for which you have to become a tool that is dependable. खुद पे डिपेंड करने के लिए एक टूल बनना पड़ता है. ऐसे नहीं कि मैं खुद पे डिपेंड करूंगी while you know figuring your traumas. You literally have to become that person. What helps me be the best version of me? And the second one I would say is have a great group of people around you. I think that is constantly underrated. You know, a lot of people tell you कि खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना, which is the case. That is number one. But number two, if you have a great group of people who you can actually trust, not this foo-foo generation के आज तुम्हारा दोस्त है, कल कुछ और, तीसरे दिन कुछ और, चौथे दिन तुम्हारा बॉयफ्रेंड उड़ा लिया, पांचवें दिन तुम्हारी गर्लफ्रेंड, वो वैसे टाइप के नहीं, अच्छे जिन पर आप निर्भर कर सको वैसे दोस्त, and that support system. So those two things you need to cultivate: strength in self and strength in your support group. Make good friends.
All right. Pooja, you're from Bombay Scottish as well, like we are. All right. So this question is school specific. What was your favorite memory from school? What was your favorite thing about school? School के आपका स्कूल में क्या सबसे अच्छा मेमोरी था या क्या आपको सबसे अच्छा लगा स्कूल के बारे में? This is for everyone. Pooja, will start with you and we'll go down the panel.
So I started baking when I was very young, and from the 8th standard, I used to every weekend bake something at home, and on Monday I used to take it to school for all my friends and teachers. Yeah, so I wasn't very good at school, but I was very loved by everyone. Classmates, favorite person. So my favorite memories were every Monday taking like a cheesecake or some chocolate brownies or clusters and seeing all my classmates and friends jump on the boxes. Like we were hooligans to the next level where there was no cutlery. Everyone would just jump in with their hands, and so for me those were and it just made me feel that what I wanted to do with my life was to make sure that I could keep seeing that joy over and over again.
I wish I was in school with you.
Same. Pooja for president. No offense. I mean, I love you and all, but Pooja for president.
मैं अपने दोस्त को मतलब ज़्यादा ये करूँगी क्योंकि मैं जब स्कूल जाती हूँ तब मुझे दोस्त के साथ बात करना और उनके साथ मस्ती करना बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
मेरी मैथ्स टीचर बिकॉज वो बायस नहीं थी.
What is my favorite school memory? I expected that to be longer. Wait. I hated school. Oh yeah. Yes! We bond! Even if you're in college so much, like at different times. I really hated school. My favorite parts were when they called us out to dramatics or elocution, yeah, come and sing or come and act. Those were my favorite, absolute favorite bits. And sometimes when I cut class. But I remember, I remember one thing I'll tell you, and this again brings me back to shyness, and you know, I wasn't always this person who could just get up and talk to you. In school, I was another version of myself, which was, I think because I was younger, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा intense हुआ करती थी. I was a very, like, black and white. ऐसा है तो ऐसा, and it's not bad at all. And then there was this one girl called Nazneen. I remember, I never met her again, but she came up to me one day and she said this to me, guys. She said to me, she said some joke and I just looked at her and she said, तुझे ना जवाब देना नहीं आता. मैंने कहा तुमने मुझसे ऐसे, and I at some level in my head thought I was a talker. I wasn't back then. But when she said कि तुझे जवाब देना नहीं आता या फिर तुझे हाजिर जवाबी नहीं आती, and at that point I thought that was the single most important skill I had to learn. To respond back, to not basically go into your shell or to not be like, what? Or be like, mujhe nahi. And I think I go back to that incident because I think that was literally one of my turning points in life, saying, nahi, you can't be this person, this shyness or this. And I credit Nazneen for that so many years later, for my Gadi Bangla, for the fact that I can talk. Thank you, Nazneen. Wherever you are, God bless you.
We would have still loved you, even though you were shy.
But I may have not been able to talk
would have
something. I
been
wouldn't have been on the
something else.
radio.
You would have
You
been
love me
something
no
else.
matter what,
Yes.
na?
Yes,
I'm
irrespective.
baking cookies.
My favorite childhood memory. I think the friendships, the friends that I made during school, they are still my friends. I feel like the friends that you make in school and college are the friends that you will, like, are your friends that know you, like, completely. They've seen the worst of you. They've seen you in that cocky, nerdy side of you when you had uni brows and you had a muchi coming. And they don't judge you. So they don't judge you by the capabilities that you think you have any which ways. So yeah, I think the friends that I've made, they will always be the most special part of schooling. Not the studying bit at all.
Couldn't agree more. So I admitted right earlier on, I was a terrible student in school. I hated studying, never did my homework. It was like horrible. I have a 4-year-old daughter. I really hope she doesn't grow up like me at all. But I think my favorite memory was actually detention. Because, always my friend, there were 3 of us, we'd sit in one row, beach wale, there's a 2 desk side mein, 3 desk beach mein, like an airline seating, right? Class mein hota tha. 3 desk beach mein and 2 desk side mein. So I used to sit in the middle, my friend Mayuri and Swiya, the 3 of us would sit in one row, the back, last row. And teacher always would punish us, every day without fail. But the cool thing was, she'd punish us all together. So the 3 of us were in detention together after school, which means we could miss tuition class and we could be sitting together and just jabbering. So that, I think for me, is still my most favorite memory of school.
All right, the next question is for you. When you started Baby Chakra, you started with someone and they had to back out, right? Going from that, you'd mentioned that having a good team is the most essential part. Like, a person is the average of the company that they keep. In that case, 3 girls you had detention with. But beyond that, when it comes to sort of a work environment, how do you pick the people in your team? What are some qualities that you look for? So that when we take on leadership roles, or for when we sort of want to join somebody's team, what should we aspire to become?
So, many times I don't pick the team. The team actually picks us. And I think that is something that's super important. I think all of us need to realize that, we are very lucky if we are founders, if we have amazing, amazing team members who choose to work with us. So, just a heads up, when you are applying to roles or internships or jobs later, please also be proud of who you are and what you bring to the table. Now, coming to your specific point, what are the team members that look around and say, I'm lucky to build with, right? People who are leaders themselves. It is extremely important, and I've said so many of my stories of my team members from the early days in public, in the press, etc. It is so important when I look across, like my Nainas, my Zaheens, my Arpits, like all of them are very strong leaders, number one. Number two, they put the team first, always. The mission of the company first, the team first, the cause of the customers first, always, right? Before themselves. And number three, very frank. Very frank. Kuch fata hua hai, they will talk about it first. And they will openly talk about it. Kuch acha chal raha hai, they will talk about that also. So that's what I really look for in my team members. By the way, the other thing, I'm an ex-consultant, McKinsey mein kaam kiya hua hai, so there's a metrics I used to use, skill will, right? So kuch jobs require very high skill, like software engineering mein kuch. But my still take today, my preference also, if I see someone who's applied to us, unka agar will, learning ka bahut high ho, I'll just take them in a heartbeat, many times. Because seek sab log jate hain if you have that will, if you have that hunger to learn. So that's what I look for, yeah. I'm lucky.
And now we have our last question for the panel discussion today. And so all of you sitting here today have accomplished so much. You'll have made a mark in all your various fields. But what I want to know is, what did 6-year-old or 7-year-old you want to become? what were your dreams as a child? And could you guys maybe tell us about that?
So 6-year-old or 7-year-old me wanted to be everything. One day I wanted to be a fashion designer. The next day I wanted to be the prime minister of the country. The day after that I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be everything. And I just was very imaginative. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a talk show host. I was obsessed with Oprah. I wanted to be everything. And I'm kind of glad that the job that I have now as an entrepreneur gives me a little bit of, a little bit of everything.
और आपके अभी क्या ड्रीम्स हैं?
मेरी ये ड्रीम्स है कि मेरे जो कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं वो कम्युनिटी कैसे क्लीन रहे उनकी उसकी जिम्मेदारी वही खुद ले। और मैंने कहा था कि मैं देश के हर कोने कोने में सीसीटीवी कैमरास लगाऊंगी। ये भी मेरी ड्रीम है कि लगनी ही चाहिए। सो थैंक यू।
मेरा ड्रीम बचपन में पायलट बनने का था लेकिन वो तो हुआ नहीं। फिर अभी जो करंटली मेरा ड्रीम है, मैं अभी भी इवेंट मैनेजमेंट में लॉजिस्टिक में इंटर्नशिप हुआ और अभी आगे जाने के लिए मैं मेकअप आर्टिस्ट बनना चाहती हूँ। सो मेरा ड्रीम यही है कि मैं अच्छी खासी मेकअप आर्टिस्ट बनूँ बड़ी होके VFX में।
My dream also was much like Pooja. हर दिन बदलता हुआ. I used to, मैं was such a performer. बचपन से ही मैं ऐसे स्टूल टेबल लगा के खाली बेंचेस से बात किया करती थी. अपने क्लासमेट्स के नेम लेकर कुछ को कोसा करती थी. I didn't like very good so and so if I liked them. I've always wanted to be a performer. Like acting, singing, dancing was always the scene. But beyond that, there's two things I'd like to tell you. At some point I believe that मुझसे नहीं होगा ये performance हमारे खानदान में नहीं है, हमारे घरों में नहीं होता. It doesn't happen. So I think for some point I put those dreams on the back burner. I'm so glad I pursued them. I'm really happy. But what I really wanted to be at one point was a police officer. And I have no idea why. I feel like it's some Freudian thing, but I don't know why. So I wanted to be a police officer, and I was like, yeah, I'll have a danda and I'll walk around, and yeah, some dictatorial scene is happening, no? There is. But then at some point somebody told me you can't grow your hair. And I was like, oh, nahi ho sakta. No, vanity did take a part in it. But but I think at a large part, I think I liked the idea of justice. I liked the idea of fairness. I liked the idea of things being right, or, people in the system putting it right. And I think that I found a job that manages both of them, so that I can be entertaining, I can perform, I can grow my hair, and yet I can ask for accountability. Like every morning I find a different authority. Sir, aapne ye kaam kiya? Every second morning I can do this. And they'll be like, ma'am, yes, ma'am, ho gaya. And it's amazing because it's on behalf of a city. You get to have fun and things get accomplished without a uniform and with my hair being long. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I remember I had watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So all I wanted was to be the owner of that chocolate factory so that I can have chocolate as much as I want because I had such a sweet tooth. That's all I wanted to be. I just wanted to be happy and have chocolates all around me. Yeah, that's what. I wish I had, I was in your school and I would get cheesecakes every Monday. I didn't have that at all. So yeah.
I think she's giving you the next business idea. To set up a Pooja and the Chocolate Factory.
So since you asked specifically from when I was 6 or 7, I think that was the first time I understood what inequality and inequity means. I think it was the first time I understood because I remember being in a shop, and Mama and I, of course, walked in Aram Se, and there were 2 kids, not as well dressed, clearly from an underprivileged background, who weren't allowed inside. It was a toy shop, and I said, "Ye look, वो हमारे पीछे ही थे, उनको क्यों नहीं allow हो रहा?" So then they said, "नहीं ma'am, इनको allowed." Not me ma'am, but whatever. नहीं. I still remember that, and I remember thinking, it's not fair, no? I mean, they wanted to come in, they were standing outside the door. So I think that impacted me a lot. And I think, I don't think I'm doing enough yet. But I think my dream has always been to do something that really creates impact at scale. And we can, my starting point right now, of course, has been with Baby Chakra, the mums and children, and impacting families at scale. My next stop, hopefully, is, working with more charities at scale. And I think over time, let's see if we can fight this in some way. I don't know.
can fight this.
We'll try. But that for me, I think is it stayed with me.
When we ideated about this panel discussion, we were wondering what sort of topics we'll cover, what questions we'll have. Ever since the first day, I didn't think that we'd cover as many topics as we did today. From your story about your student council and running for president, your words, Suno Sabki Karo Abki, your Razia. I think that's the name I'm going to remember the most. Nazia. Wow. I think the mics, I'm going to blame the mics for it. All of these stories, oh my God, your story about when you said that there's that internal compass that just takes you there and we all need to trust that more. It's so moving and I had goosebumps at times when I was hearing these stories. So I can't thank all of you panelists enough and I don't have to because Alaya will do that.
I actually just wanted to... Did this stop? No, lovely. So I actually just wanted to say that I am so sure, like मुझे यकीन है कि the 6 and 7-year-old selves, I'm so sure that they're so proud of all of you right now because all of us were incredibly proud of all of you and thank you so much for taking our time and being here with us today, inspiring our audience, inspiring us. And
So please give it up once
more for our panelists. Please give it up, everybody.
one last time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.